Okay, first up is Jeffrey. Alright, this is looking really good. I can tell you've put a lot of effort into the slicing motion, and I think that's turned out nicely. Let's take a look in Maya. Okay, just look at it from a different angle. I felt like this motion was this first wrist twist felt really snappy, a little bit too quick. Just gonna zoom in here. So I might just select all of his controls and insert a few keys, add in between, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 more. Maybe. Let's see if we like that any better. Whoa, why was that worse? Oh, it was here. Okay, let me undo that. It wasn't worse, it was just the same. I just picked the wrong area. Yeah, see, that's just happening over just those 2 frames, really. So keys, add in between, G, 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 G. Okay, try again. Still pretty fast. Oh, I see, a lot of the movement is here. So we have to do it both here and here. G, G. Yeah, it's definitely slower now. I think it could be even slower, just to kind of contrast with the slicing later, G, 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 which is repeat last command. Yeah, I like that better. Let's look what he's doing on these chops with his body, if there's anything we want to... So you've got a little bit of an anticipation here. He's winding back a little bit. It's pretty complicated motion. Maybe you can increase the amount of anticipation there. The other thing I would do is maybe get these hips more involved. Like maybe you know, see what happens if we move the hips the opposite direction that he's chopping. Oh, these are, let me undo. Okay, I'm just going to shift, click and drag to select these and snap them because they weren't on whole number keyframes. You probably did some scaling. I'm just going to snap all of these just to get them to the nearest whole number keyframe. Okay, let's try that again. So maybe as he goes from here to here, he moves a little bit the opposite way, and then there to there, that way, and then here to here, this way. See if you like that any better. I don't know which is this camera? No. No. Yes, I think. Did you notice any difference? I think that might have helped a little bit, just getting that root sort of moving, like using it to kind of shift the opposite way. And then this was the other thing that caught my eye, which was that little hand slip here, that weird kind of... It just felt... Yeah, there's a little bit of a pop here on the hand. What I would probably do... switch to FK at some point here, like maybe between here and here. So I'll select this guy and keyframe the FK-IK blend there. And then by the time it gets here, let's change that to 10. And we'll fix that in a second, and I'll get rid of any additional keyframes on that. Okay, so it transitions between FK and IK between here and here. Then we need to grab that hand control. I can't remember exactly how you had this. But let's just say it was like that. I know that's not exactly right. Is this the elbow thing? Yeah. And that while we're at it. Okay. Oh, and let's... Is there another keyframe on it? Oh, let's just... Since you're not using it before this, let's just get rid of any keyframe before. And... Yeah, we don't want... Oh, there's nothing after? Oh, good. Oh, I missed one, I guess. No? Oh, it's just the one at the beginning. Okay. Should be it. Okay. There we go. Oh, there's some little pop on the arm still. Oh, it's probably because of this guy. Oh yeah, he's got another keyframe too. Let's get rid of that. Okay. So now, just to kind of take a step back, because I deleted a lot of keyframes. So this is the thing that makes IK and FK switch back and forth. So from here and everything before, it's at 0, which means everything here is in FK mode. And then between here and here, it transitions from 0 to 10, and 10 is IK, so now it's in IK mode. And anything after this is in IK mode. And so it's transitioning to its IK hand position here. And then it's nice and still on that thing. And of course, if you wanted to add a little bit of movement, you could animate this, but that way it stays nice and firm there. Okay. And I got rid of, there was a whole bunch of extra keyframes on this one that I got rid of, and there was some extra on that I got rid of as well. The pull vector locator. So that fixed that. So yeah, I think this is going really well. I think a few fixes can improve him, but you've done a really good job animating. I really like the way he does that kind of, that sword movement is quite complex. And wait a minute. Did I break it somehow? How did I break this? What have I done? Somehow I might have deleted. Did I delete some keyframes off of this one? I thought that one was... Oh my gosh. I don't know what I did. It was going so well. Should this be okay or something? I have no idea how I managed to break your animation. Anyway, hopefully you can catch it while watching this. Alright, I'm going to keep going. Okay, this is Flora. Alright. The main thing, so I'm getting what's happening is she's getting up and she's doing some kind of spell, so that's good. I think your starting pose is really nice, the way she's looking at that book. And I think conceptually, there's kind of a moment here where it's looking good there with her arms going up. But one thing about your poses is like you can't just have like the body freeze and have the arms move around like that. Like you've got to be moving the body and the spine and stuff. Like you can't just freeze the body and have the arms wave around. It looks very odd, like kind of like a an animatronic robot or something like that. And let's take a closer look at the standing up to start. Alright, so for standing up, she just kind of like floats up. There's nothing that makes her stand. And it looks like you're like halfway in between FK and IK on something. Oh, this one is just plain on IK, and then it switches. Oh, I don't know why that's changing. Oh, is that supposed to be her breathing? Okay, maybe a bit exaggerated there. Okay, and then it switches to FK. So I think, what you'll want to do is get this hand properly planted on the bed, or maybe on the book. That might even be more visible and better. Something like this, let's say. Maybe a little curl on these. I'm just going to move it up a touch. Okay, so I've got my auto keyframe on. I'm going to middle mouse click here, set a keyframe on that, and set a keyframe on that so it sticks between here and here. And probably again here, S and S. I did middle mouse click, so it changed the time without changing the position. Okay, and then our hand just kind of flies off here. Let's middle mouse click here and S again. But we're already switching to FK, so I want to stay on IK a little longer so she can kind of push up with this hand. So I'm just going to delete all these keys. Well, do you go back and forth on this? No, it's just FK for the rest. So just to kind of remove some confusion, I'm going to... So keyframe. So we're in IK. And then maybe about here, a little bit. Let's keyframe here over the next couple frames. Yeah, maybe by here we'll transition to FK. So here's between this like 18 and 20, it's transitioning from FK to IK. I'm sorry, IK to FK. And that gives her a little bit more like she's, can be pushing up with that hand. Though I don't like how the hand moves here, so you might want to work on some of those poses a little bit. So just how does it look? I don't know why there's sort of a pop there. Is it this shoulder? Oh, is some of this stepped? Let's make sure everything is not in stepped, because I think some stuff is, I'm going to do auto. I think that's where that pop was coming from. Okay, let's see now. Yeah. Maybe we can have that hand hold a little longer. So let's see, can we, no, probably not much. I think we just need to make sure that, you know, this is a little bit more lifted up by then, and maybe, I don't know, something like that. Yeah, that's looking better. Still feels like a little, like a pop there, a little abrupt. Maybe a bit lower. Might kind of try to get the hand in sort of a similar position, and maybe lower that shoulder some for that transition. Yeah, during the transition it's not doing very well regarding the wrist rotate. So, whoops. That's that transition between FK and IK, which was between 18 and 20. So I just want to make sure that this is rotated up here. Okay, I'm not like in love with it, but what's good about it is it's planted there for this part, so it looks like, you know, she could be pushing herself up, you know, bracing herself with that hand. And then this part, you know, I think, why is this off of her body? That is not a good sign. Did this move or something? Separate? Oh, you're moving the body with that, which I wouldn't normally do. That makes things a little confusing. Alright, well, let's just work with what you have. So that slides her forward. What I might say is like maybe you could slide a little bit forward. Like I could set a keyframe here and then pause and then scoot again. So it was a bit too fast. What's that pop? Something's going berserk there. I thought it might be that. Look at that sun. Something's like really abruptly changing here. Let me just, for fun, take the animation off of that just to see if that's what's doing it. I think it was. I think there was some animation on those that were... Yeah, so try to do that with fewer keyframes. Was it camera 1? No. Camera 2, maybe? So does this look any better? Still seems to get up really abruptly. So I think maybe if it's select all, give her a little bit more time to get from there to there. keys, add in between, and then I'll do G, 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 G to repeat that a few times. I mean, better. It's just also her arm, like it's just, I'm not buying that arm pose. And I think, yeah, I mean, what I think would actually be better is if we kept this hand in, oh, that's the spine. If we kept this hand in IK longer, maybe just kind of move this up a little bit and start to move forward here. And then maybe she like leans forward a bunch here. No, not that much. And got this hand. See, she'd have to really bend over quite a bit to do this. But and she could keep her head up. But what I'm imagining is, you know, letting this hand kind of get a grip on the bed there. I'm just going to middle mouse click S and then S to kind of, whoops. Oh, why is it? And then we'll need to get these to stay for a minute. There's a lot too many keyframes here. Just going to middle mouse click here and delete this one. Maybe middle mouse click here. Except let's move this thing forward. Oh, why is the arm already not reaching? I think we need to be on this one a lot more tilted this way. Okay. Get rid of some of these keyframes on that elbow. I mean, her arm, this arm is looking a bit crazy, but oops. What I'm trying to do is trying to give her ways to kind of give her some leverage. I think I'm just going to delete this and some of these. So she bends down to get some leverage, and then see how, yeah, now she's kind of pushing herself up. Let's look at that and see if we're better off from your camera view. I'm going to hide the curves. She doesn't kind of hold on long enough, but I might keep her like crouched down longer. Just move this forward mostly. And then you need like a new hand pose here, but I don't know. See if we can keep this middle mouse dragging here so it just sticks a little bit longer. Alright. I don't know that I'm doing the perfect job of this, but because I'm just trying to rush through it, but do you kind of see how, and there's a lot more animation to fix there. You probably want to switch back to FK. But to see how like she has a hand braced here, which kind of helps push her up there, and then she's got a hand brace here, which helps push her up there, and I think I could do a better job of it. But to me, that looks more convincing. Let's take a look back at the original, just as a comparison. Also, that breath is too. Yeah, I mean, I think that even though the timing could be better on what I did, the idea that she's got something to kind of help push her up instead of just, she seems to kind of float up here, could improve it. And then yeah, switch back to FK arms, and you just need to hit a few careful poses. I really think you need to like either find some reference or act this out yourself and use the video reference to hit those poses, because I think what you're trying to do is this sort of conjuring type movement, and it's a complicated thing. Maybe you want to, you know, look at the movie Tangled or something like that, you know, with the, or some other witch like animation, and or just do it yourself and record it on your phone and use that as reference. But I think you need some reference to help you out, because right now it's not working that well, and you need a lot more poses and get the root and spine involved in. This is Taylor. I opened the file. I noticed there's 2 characters in here, and that's probably going to cause you some issues. Wondering if one of these is the reference and one you've imported. So really you should just be using the reference and not the imported one, but I'm just going to undo that just so that it's not confusing in here. And yeah, I mean, this is very simple blocking. There's no real footsteps there. You got to make sure the feet are sticking, so only move one foot at a time, not both at the same time. And just a lot more poses. And this, you know, obviously you're not going to want the arms out to the side like in the T pose. Give her a natural pose to start with, and then, you know, take one step and then take the other footstep, etc., etc. And then you may want to get some video reference, but right now it's like she's just ice skating and sliding and spinning, and also, you know, the arms are to the side. So I think it's just very, very early days in this. I understand you had some issues with the mouth thing, but I've since sent you a fixed version of the character file. So yeah, I just think you need to set a lot more poses, keyframe a lot more poses, and work more on each pose into the detail and adjusting all the different controls. So keep going. Okay, this is Adanya. Alright, so there's some decent stuff going on here. I'm not exactly sure what's being expressed in this video, but there's some good timing and motion, and I like that you've got the root and spine involved. One thing you could pay more attention to are these hand poses. This is really sticking out and very noticeable. Because it's just so straight. So at the very least, you know, give it a little bit of curl on those fingers. But I think that, you know, a couple little hand poses with this, and you're sort of not doing anything with this hand. So maybe, you know, do something with the hand. You don't have to draw too much attention to it, but just, you know, keep it alive a little bit, at least. I think since there's not a huge amount of movement on the body, you might want to get a little bit more going on the face, maybe some blinks or eyebrow movements, something to give it a little bit more dynamic motion. But yeah, overall, it's a bit short at around 3 seconds. Like to see you try to get something up to more like 5 seconds of finished animation by the end. So maybe you can add a little bit either to the beginning or the end of this to take it further. But what I like is that you're moving a lot of the controls and the poses, and that it's not like even timing. That's a good thing, that it starts out slow and moves quickly. There's a kind of a rhythm to it that changes, which is good. So yeah, there's good stuff going on in this one. But I think you could, again, especially with this hand, and then make it a little longer. Okay, this is Catherine. Okay, so she kind of just turns and drops the books. So we're kind of at the blocking stage here. Let's take a look in Maya. Okay, here we are in Maya. One thing you'll need to do, well, let's start by just switching everything into auto tangent and see where we're at when we look at it that way. I think you're going to want to parent the books to one of the hands, and then just kind of move the hands together. The other thing is, I think you're going to have an easier time if you move the hands in IK mode, which is going to mean redoing some of this. But oh, and then one thing I'm noticing here is you've animated this main control. I don't know if you saw my other messages about this, but you don't want to animate that main control. So I'm going to delete the animation off of that. There wasn't that much on it, but yeah, there was enough to kind of, there's other stuff going on here. So also with the feet, you really only want to move 1 foot at a time. So as the feet, I think, I don't know why they're moving down like that, but I mean, let me just kind of reanimate them and try to show you real quick. So I'm going to select both of them. Whoops, let's get rid of the animation on this one. Double click, right mouse click, delete. Okay, I'll keyframe both of these. S. Okay, she stands up. What is making that foot move now? Are we animating this thing? Okay, that's confusing. I'm going to delete that also. Let's get these back to their normal. Okay, great. So got rid of all that, and I'll start out. Oh, there's some on this guy too. Okay, I'm just gonna select all of those, zero all of this out, and double click, right mouse click, delete. Okay, so we've got these back to a good start point. So I'm going to set a keyframe. She stands up. Oh, what's moving now? What did I miss? This. No. This. Yes. Delete. Okay. Right? Yeah. Oh, something's still moving. Oh, because there's a keyframe here. Okay. Just clearing. Oh, Jesus. Sorry. Just make sure all these are selected. Well, it seems like it's. I don't see any more keyframes. I don't know what's doing that. Unless it's that. Oh, okay. It's just the amount that she's twisted is pulling on it. That's fine. We're going to fix that. So we're all good now. So yeah, I've got both of these feet controls selected. So she stands up. So she starts to turn. And at some point here, just set another keyframe. We'll move this foot. So I might. Well, no. Let's. As she's turning here, maybe we'll go here and there, something like that. And then maybe in the middle of that step it moves up a little bit. And then as soon as that foot goes down, this one can move. So set a keyframe here, and then, you know, maybe move this out and twist it, something like that. Yeah, I mean, I'm not super thrilled with the timing, but the point is, you could also do like a few little movements, like you can move a little bit of this one, and then the other one a little bit, and then this one a little bit, you know, but they have to alternate. That's the main point of this demonstration, is you can't move them at the same time, or it looks like she's sort of ice skating. Maybe when this one gets planted, you know, we'll set a keyframe here, and this one kind of moves in a little bit. And then I was saying for the hands, you should, let's switch to IK and get this here. I think you don't have to use IK, but I think you will want to. Is this in a group? No. Oh, you did these each individually. What I would do is, well, I would do them as a group, and then when they hit the ground, do them individually. So for the moment, I'm just going to delete the animation off of these and edit group, options, center pivot group, and we'll just, you know, so now there's that there. So child, I have the group selected, child parent P, and then now you'll see this moves with that. Oh, I missed a book somehow. Just select this. Just parenting that in there. Okay, so now that's in that group. I just did P for parent. So the point is that, you know, these will move with the hand here, and then what you can do is, if this one's also in, just changing that to 10, I can delete the keyframes off that, FK, and you've placed this here. Whoops. You know, obviously placing it more carefully than I am, but you get the idea. If you place this here, the thing is, if I have these both selected, both of the IK hands, and I move them around, see how the books are parented to this hand, so that's why they move with that hand, but I'm moving them both together, so they move together perfectly, and I don't have to worry about the hands going through it or sliding off. Then when she drops them, you should kind of swap them out on the drop and then turn the visibility off, essentially using the same, or sort of the same method I used to kind of pick up an object, and I'll post that tutorial in your discussion separately, and just so I don't have to do it again right here, but you'll get the idea. I mean, I guess I can show it. I meant to delete these. So, got this group selected real quick. You know, obviously, I don't know what frame she's supposed to drop them on, but let's say, let's pretend it's this frame. So, on this frame, you know, book pile or something I'll call it, and then I'm gonna duplicate book pile and unparented, shift P a few times. Okay, so that's just sitting out here. This is book pile, we'll call it book pile drop, and it's important you duplicate it on the frame that it's going to drop, which I'm saying is 79. So I'm gonna keyframe here and then, you know, have this drop there between 79 and 99, let's say. Again, I'm just doing this very rough just to give you the idea. And then the trick is to swap the visibility. So I'm going to delete any visibility keyframes off of here, and one frame before I'll right mouse click keyframe the visibility on, and then on the next frame it'll be off. And then I'll do the opposite for, wait, did I do that to the wrong one? Sorry, I did that to the, no, yeah, I did that to the wrong one, sorry. It's this one that should turn off. So let's get this group. Okay, and we go to frame 79 and keyframe visibility on, and on 80 this one, the original one, disappears off. Okay, we're going to do a swap, and then, but the problem is, you know, let's just, yeah, I mean, we don't have any other keyframes on our hand. That's not why it's not moving with her. Oops. Something like that. So let's keyframe. Obviously you need a slightly better placement on those, but wait, why aren't those? Oh, I didn't have a keyframe set where they should move to gray. Let me just take a step back here. Okay, so that's keyframe there, and then I'll make sure there's a keyframe for these at the beginning. Good. Here. Good. So the arms are moving. Anyways, obviously you're going to spend more time on those poses, but then at the point of the story is that at 79 it's going to swap. So the original one's visibility changes and it disappears, but we don't want this floating here. So this one at it's going to be at 78. It's going to be invisible. And we'll keyframe that, and then at 79 it becomes visible. So we've swapped the two. So there's one that's parented to your hand. It's actually still parented to your hand, you just can't see it. There's two sets of books, and then this one falls. So you're just swapping the visibility. But you wanted to get all your animation timing right first before you do that. So hope that was a little helpful. Alright, I just spent some time troubleshooting the eyebrow, and it doesn't fly off now. So what I did was I opened up the rig file, and I've already fixed it in this version, but what I could see, this was all locked and it was keyframed. So I selected these, right mouse click, unlock selected, and then delete selected, and that got rid of the keyframe because they were keyframed. For some reason this eyebrow was keyframed, and then I saved the file, and then next time I opened it, so select the eyebrow in the rig file, unlock the channels, delete the animation off those channels, save it, and then that will solve the eyebrow issue. Okay, this is Gordon. Is that just, oh, okay, that's just a long pause there, sorry. Okay, well, there's not a Maya file to look at, so we can focus on this. Um, the the first thing is this is way too long. So this is 1 minute and 40 seconds. We're looking for something between 5 and 10 seconds of animation. So you just really should narrow this down to just one moment from this longer thing. Maybe start him here and have him pick up the gun. And then what I'm noticing is in this whole thing, you're almost only moving the root and the feet, and then occasionally later you're moving the arms. But in every pose, you should be adjusting every control or nearly every control for every pose. So you might want to review the course material. Also, your playblast should hide these other elements, and you should playblast at a higher resolution because it's kind of blurry. And also turn in your archive scene file. So really, and something happened to the eyeballs on this. Don't know what's going on with that, but yeah, I think you should start over. Really, just do plan on doing 5 seconds of animation. Kind of review the course material. I can't really diagnose this much further because of the I don't have the archive scene file, but yeah, I just don't think there's a lot here that's that useful at this point. And maybe just act out the thing you want to do on video and then try to recreate that with your character. And again, just try to do 5 seconds. This is way too long. Okay, this is Josh. All right. Yeah, here's another one that's, again, way too long. We're just looking for 5 or 10 seconds of animation, and this is 1 minute. So I would just pick a moment, and I think maybe just this end part is interesting where he picks up the axe and chops. The other thing is he's sliding around like a chess piece, and the rig looks weird. Let's take a look at the Maya file. So I wasn't able to open the Maya file. It seems to be it was looking for a module 8 file. I think that it was maybe a rig file. That didn't seem to be in there. It's a good idea to make sure that all of your files are in one project folder and that your scenes file is in the scenes directory and that your source images file are on the source image directory and they're not spread out into multiple folders. And it seemed like yours was spread out in different folders. So maybe try to get the files organized and then archive scene again and resubmit, and I can take a look. But I guess the main message here is pick 5 seconds, fix it so he's not ice skating around. I'm guessing you're kind of moving a main control, and that the instead of moving the root and the individual feet. So yeah, keep going. Okay, this is Craig. Cool. Looks like we're still in stepped tangent. The poses look really good. But I think you kind of need to move this along. Let's take a look at the Maya file. Okay, here we are in the Maya file. A lot of good stuff going on here. The one big pose I think you're missing is this needs much more of a anticipation pose. Before he throws the gun up, he should move his arm down. So I guess you're doing it a little bit like with this one, but I would just go much further. And that's auto keyframe, so let's see if that looks any better. I think that helps a little bit. Let's put everything into auto tangent and see where this is really at. I think it's pretty good. I mean, I don't think you can do this freeze frame at the end. I think it's just gotta, when he stops moving it, it's gotta end. But I think the thing to do would be to put some, maybe some little holds in here, so let's see. So like maybe here, got everything, and then kind of hold to here as an example. Of course, you want to make them into moving holds, so there's little changes. And then I would put another hold here. So what I would do is, let's insert some in between. So, whoops, not there, after here. Keys, add in between. That's one, and then I'm going to use G to do it again. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I'll do a hold. I'm going to middle mouse click. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, and so it holds between here and here. And again, you'll need to turn that into a moving hold, have some subtle changes, but I think also his arms should stay as long as they can. Maybe here, like so, just with those hands selected, I've got a middle mouse click a few frames and set of keyframes so they hold there. So the arms stretch out, see that? So it looks more like a push. And then you may have to adjust those a little bit, but that looks better. And I think he needs a little bit more anticipation on that jump. So I think you just need a whole new pose in there. So I'm going to add some in-betweens. Oh, let's make sure we've got everything selected again. Don't want to be adding in-betweens unless you have all of your stuff selected. So keys, add in-between. Oops, I did it on the wrong side again. Keys, add in-between. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't know, something like that. And then here, I'm just going to middle mouse click here. So, oops, something changed. Middle mouse click here. Don't worry about that, it's just being funny. And let's say select all of these guys as an example, and then do some anticipation pose here. I feel like I missed something on my okay, let's try that again. I'm going to middle mouse click here. Oh, I just didn't keyframe everything is a problem. So let's just delete that and try that again. So middle mouse click here. Do that anticipation pose. Something like this. Could give it a little twist or something, might look good. But then keyframe everything on that pose. So select all, set keyframe, so that he doesn't start sliding forward early. Okay, so now let's watch that. Yeah, a moment to. I think it just needs to hold on that anticipation pose. Just let's add a few more. Add 1, 2, 3. Then I'll go here and set another keyframe. And here's what I mean by moving hold: is I've already set the keyframe, so I can just take these and just move a little bit more. So it's alive during that hold. I'm not loving that, but I think it's a little better. I realized I didn't have the chair and the camera selected when I was doing the timing adjustments, which means they're offset from the animation and the gun. So I guess the thing is, you can't just select all the character controls if you're going to add in-betweens. You have to select the gun, the chair, and the camera along with all those animation controls, otherwise they're all going to go out of sync. So you'll just have to be really careful anytime you want to add in-betweens. So yeah, I mean, I think your blocking's great. I think you just need to get on with the next steps.